Sami has shown us a unique energy work from Finland that he's going to demonstrate for us now with Siina. And Sami, why don't you explain what exactly you're going to do?
Yeah, there's this guy in Finland who was originally an osteopath and a homeopath and a lot of other things. Then he came and he did these treatments a lot. Then he came across a really difficult case and didn't know how to treat that case. And so he stayed awake for 3 nights and 3 days straight on. Then he fell asleep, and when he woke up, he knew what he needed to do. So from there on, he started to develop his own method of treating and healing people. He doesn't want to name it anything because he thinks it robs it of power. But he has disciples, and I was there, his disciple for a moment. So he's the master, and I'm the student and novice. But what happens here is normally a massage therapist would, I think, would just go for the muscles, you know. They would take an individual muscle and massage it. What I do is I go through the muscle into the energy channels that run the whole body. Then I find out if there are any blockages in the energy channels or if the energy is leaking to wrong place. Like here, it's leaking a little bit from here, so I want to block this, which is mostly painful for the patient. And in Finland, this treatment is referred to as medieval lymphotherapy because it's so painful. But now I'm blocking this, and she doesn't like it, of course, because there's a lot of in the human body, a lot of emotions, suppressed emotions are stored. Now it's getting through better. The energy line is going where it should be going. But there's a lot of suppressed emotions stored in the body. So whenever I press something here and it hurts, it's not because it's that much a physical ailment. It's because there is so much emotional baggage and burden there. And that's what hurts, because no one wants to poke around those things usually. But it's really good. Also, it's very interesting that if I find a spot, then often if I press like this, she feels that she can't breathe now. It feels like she's suffocating, but come on, nobody can, suffocate from just one point of in the back being pressed. But it's just that the emotions are the emotions stored there do not want to sort of reveal themselves, and that gives the patient the feeling that she is going to suffocate, because it's something to do with expressing those emotions through breathing and everything.
Sami, I have a quick question. How did you notice where there was a leak in her body, or you saw the energy coming out?
As I went into the energy channel here and started to push, I noticed that the movement was going too much here.
So you're seeing the energy, you're actually seeing the energy move.
Well, it's a mixture of seeing the physical and the energy.
Okay.
So I can't really discern it. But it's a lot to do just with watching what the physicality is expressing.
And the one thing that I noticed with the work that you're doing is interesting, because I know I've worked with energy lines, but what I found with you is the line did open and became more a channel, like a river flowing through, versus just getting that line flowing. It was opening it.
Interesting, yes.
And I found that very interesting, and I found that very profound and very deep, on a very deep level. And I had the opportunity for Sami to work on me last night, and then when I went to bed, I slept very deep, and my dreams were very deep. It was a different level that opened up and was connected. So I found it very interesting.
That's very interesting. Also, what I've noticed here is that if the what do you call the person that treats? What do you call me? The practitioner. If the practitioner is not a deep enough a person, he cannot treat the
deepest layers.
What's
layers.
this?
Sure.
Who's this now?
Yes.
The treatee?
The
patient.
the patient.
So when I treated Stewart, I came across that I'm not deep enough to treat him, whereas he's about the only one that I've met that I can't go as deep into him as he would require. Yeah, but most of the time I can.
I'm a deep well. Cannot get to the bottom of me.
What else?
I think it was interesting also what you were talking about the feet. You had explained how here in the US especially, you know, that we wear shoes in the house, and many other countries, and of course you spoke about Finland, where you don't wear shoes because you want that massage, continual massage and movement in the foot.
Yeah.
And how that binds the ankle, which in turn creates heart problems for us here in the US.
You see here?
So if
see here, you have the Achilles tendon, but around that there's like smaller tendons also, which are with her, they're stuck. So it's very painful when I sort of flick these tendons here. But the nutrients and the energy goes through tendons into the muscle. So if the tendons are stuck, then the whole system starts deteriorating. The muscles don't feel well and everything goes haywire. So what you want to do is keep the tendons in a good shape and always flex and stretch your wrists and ankles. Because if the ankles get stuck, there's a high probability of developing heart problems. So that's why you want to keep the foot here, which is comprised of like 24 bones. You want to keep those bones healthy and moving and not have them be stuck into one piece. And if you wear shoes a lot, there's a real danger of that happening. So you want to walk barefoot or with your socks on, and if it's cold inside, you want to wear wool socks like I do. So that's why you get the movement into the foot. Like here, the movement is pretty good. It's organic. With Stewart, not so good. He wears so much shoes.
But it's interesting because, as I said, here in the US, we do wear shoes all the time. And a lot of countries where I've been in, people automatically take their shoes off. And of course, I kind of assume, being from the US, it's for cleanliness. You know, we don't want to track in mud from the outside into the house kind of thing. But you put, again, another level on it. It's beyond that. It's, hey, let's keep the foot healthy. And if we think of reflexology and all the points, and if we're continually massaging it and having that movement, that makes sense that our path in life would be more fluid and moving as well.
Right. So what you want to do with the ankles is you want to stretch them every way you can. Just stretch them and make them work and separate the toes and crack them and work with the ankle and the toes a lot. That'll give you health.
That helps the entire body.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes it does. Well, it's the basis. It's the very
foundation.
So if the foundation is crooked, what happens
to the rest of the body?
Yeah.
So very interesting the work that you're doing.
What do you call that when you reflexology? Like reflexology, really on the foot.
Some way, but beyond, I would say. But it gives people the idea. But it's very interesting how that you open those channels and you get things moving. And I'm assuming the length of time per treatment per person is on an individual basis.
Yes.
Depending upon the blockages that you find or the leakages. Or another interesting point you had brought up is what can the person emotionally deal with. If you go too deep, too fast.
Yeah, you might have repercussions. If you go too deep into a person, then they might go a little crazy. They might even develop such mental problems that they need to come back to the practitioner and ask them to make them crooked again, because that's what they're used to. That's what's happened with my mentor.
Yeah.
That's tough, because if they release too much too quickly and the person is untrained with that, it can be really tough.
Yeah. And we talk about that in the deprogramming work and those kind of things that we do. And people oftentimes don't understand, they just want it done.
Yeah.
They don't understand this. There's a very important process because, like you said,
there's steps and layers all the time.
And what's stored in the cellular structure, what has to be released in the mental, and it all has to be flowing together.
Yes.
And that's a tough concept for people who want things yesterday.
Yeah, like a magic pill.
Yes.
There's no magic pill. You gotta go step by step.
Absolutely. And even in people who work with alternative things, they're not taking a pill and they're better in 3 days, but they think maybe 3 months everything should be okay, or 3 years. And sometimes it's not that way because we are so multi-layered and so deep inside. So it was very interesting to me, and I appreciate you sharing that.
Sure.
Appreciate Siina being willing to be our model and all.
She did fine.
She did fine.
She was a little screaming there for a little bit.
Yeah, twitching and
Yeah.
but it's painful work when someone pokes your tender spots
Yes.
and evokes all those suppressed emotions. It can make you cry or angry or just hurt so much that you're willing to confess that you shot Kennedy or whatever.
Yeah, right. Well, and you talked about too the heart points on the front.
Especially the
That's
heart
painful.
point. This area, both sides,
Yes.
it's the most crucial thing. It seems to be like the energetic focal point of the body. That's like the center. Oftentimes, when someone's complained of an ankle, that ankle is stuck and they need it opened, I open the heart area first, and the ankle opens itself. It's all tied through heart. It's like the center, and everything leads from there elsewhere. Most of the neck problems, which people have a lot, or headaches, they are because of a stuck heart area. It's the heart.
It's all the emotions that are pent up.
They're in the heart of everything.
Yes.
That's why they call it the heart.
Yeah. And if you are not in Finland and can't avail yourself of someone like Sami's talents, then remember to do your oversoul hyperspace release work, and that will help make movement. But if you have someone like this, or someone who can help the physical structure, as we call it a bit of a crutch, but we all need that because we're in physical reality.
You need sometimes the
times.
physical relief in order for you to
Sure.
work on the mental.
That's
Indeed. And sometimes getting that physical sort of a push will help you unveil things in the mental and emotional level.
Yeah.
It
And when
works vice versa. It goes both ways.
Absolutely. When you were working on me last night, I was very conscious, as best as I could, to breathe through the pain and all the things that were coming up so that I could aid the healing work. So we're working together. And if you have a really good practitioner who will work with you, and you work with them as well, and that will make a giant difference. In
And
what you can
I
do.
feel that you went into a deep place within yourself, like really focused and concentrated. Which is really good, very good. Very rarely people do that. They just try to remain alive.
Yeah, right, because I don't have that.
Yeah,
And the pain is okay. As we talked about, the pain is part of the process of life. And of those of you who have read my work, The Pleasure of Pain, the article I had on the site not too long ago, you will understand why you keep it, and then you go to somebody like this to move yourself through it so you know you don't have to carry it anymore.
And you've been accustomed to working with your painful spots already. Anyone who's like that is likely to benefit more from a treatment like this, and it's not going to be that painful.
Right. And not because we know how to move, how to traverse
You
the
are
pain.
already aware of the painful
Yes.
spots. It's not a surprise. Wow, what was that?
Right.
No, you're aware that you have these spots. They've not gone away. I'm working on them. Well, thank you for helping me work with them.
Yeah, and then so it becomes a process, and that's what we're here to everybody help each other. And that's a challenge sometimes when you're used to isolation programming, being independent, keeping your emotions closed down. In order for us all to grow together as a team, it does take a team. And be grateful when you find people or methodologies that can help continue to move you along so you don't stay stuck. It's a challenge, it's a big challenge. But if it's in here, the rest of it's going to happen.
And pain is actually a good sign because depending on where it is on your body, you look up the mind pattern behind that part of the body and look at the body-mind correlation, and that will help you to know what the emotions and mind pattern are.
Exactly, because what you want to do is get to know all the sort of corners of your emotions and the mental sides. Also, what you want to do with your body is, especially with the vertebrae and these parts, you want to sort of explore every place where it can go. Because the more sort of you get used to bending your vertebrae every way it can and finding the limits of it, the more you are sort of like expanding your emotional and mental limits, and the more health it will bring your vertebrae. If you just stay like this all the time, like this, you're stuck in it. But if you sort of like do strange things with it and go to strange places and do stuff that looks really weird and stuff, then you learn more about yourself and, the health. Health is good.
Well, and you had talked about too, because you are a dancer, so you've spent a lot of time studying the body, keeping the body healthy, because that's the way you make your living, obviously, including, plus you enjoy it. but you have moved yourself beyond the body and you've incorporated the mental, so you're understanding how they work together on a very deep energetic level. So even as you move and bend, like we talk about people who walk like this, or older people, they've carried their emotions, they've pulled their heart energy in.
Yes.
And what you're teaching yourself, and therefore able to help other people, is how to open the heart, open the emotions, and you're giving these extras. So even with me, you're saying, well, now walk this way, walk that way, be aware of this, be aware of that.
Yes.
It doesn't matter in this reality how much you know. You can always know more.
Yes,
You can get better. Good can get better. Best, keep on yourself moving. And this is really, what are we doing? Moving. He's moving the body. He's moving the energy. He's keeping that energy flowing. He's figured out how to do it with himself, which allows him then to move the next step, which is to share it with others.
Whenever I have a physical problem, I look at it on 2 levels at least. I try to find out the spiritual core reason why this problem is manifested, but also at the same time I try to better the coordination and the posture of the body, because that will help me avoid such a problem from occurring again. So always on 2 levels I try to work on this.
Well, one thing you're doing that I think a lot of people don't have awareness of is you're stopping it from coming into and affecting your cellular structure.
Okay.
Most of us allow the emotions to live in the body, to live in the cells. You're going into that very fine cellular level before it gets in there. If you find it in there, you pull it out.
Right.
But you're working before it even gets in there.
That's interesting. That's a nice point.
Yeah.
I think it has to do with that as a dancer, I may not be the most technical dancer in the world. I mean, I can't do everything, but instead of just moving like this, I've learned to control the movement almost on a cellular level, so that whatever I do, it's sort of controlled all the time, so I can feel everything that's going on. So that makes the dance becomes like a magic trip then, instead of just dancing away and doing stuff, which is not interesting actually.
And one thing, since you brought that up, I don't want to lose this one either, because I thought it a couple times during our time with you, is you have talked about, even when you choreography something, how that the music flows a certain way, and that's how you bring the people together, which again is the color, tone, and archetype. Yeah. That the music does something, it's following the archetypes, therefore you follow those archetypes.
That's right.
Which gives your work, not only your physical work, but what your...
It gives depth to the work.
Yes,
yeah.
on a different level, and people get that. Even consciously, you're going beyond the conscious mind, but people are feeling it subconscious, superconscious. No different than what we've talked about. Stewart uses the example of the Target stores. They don't know what an archetype is, but you give them that red circle with a red dot in it, and it lowers your brain down into your lower chakras. So what you're doing is you're finding the archetypes, and you're allowing your people then to choreography, though, is that the correct word? To make it come out, it sounds good. but as they create these archetypes, choreograph, as you choreograph it, that they're creating specific archetypes with the body, which are then imprinting people very deep.
Oftentimes when there's a scene that the director has made a scene on stage, and I see that it's lacking something, then sometimes I go through like 5 or 6 choices quickly in my head, like in a few seconds. Sometimes it's right there, so the scene is telling me, and I can't explain how, it's just some weird energetic thing. The scene is telling me what it wants to emphasize. And then I sort of figure it out, what could the what movements would it require, or what kind of an idea it would require around it or inside it. And then when we incorporate those, the director is usually stunned that a good director notices that there are 5 or 6 levels of messages coming through, and they're exhilarated because it's something that they did not see, because they follow the text mostly.
Sure.
And the plot, the drama that's supposed to come out. So they're sort of fixed on that. Mm-hmm. Then I give in the extra layer, the sort of the meta level, the hyperspace level into it, and oftentimes they love it because it's something that they would not have come up with. Right. But this is largely thanks to your work, because for years I've followed your work and done the exercises meticulously. And that's sort of freed me to express these things in my work also. So thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Well, when I walk my dogs, when we walked the other day, and I told you how I walk in the oversoul level. You know, I create that. I'm
Yeah.
very conscious. Like we talk about the labyrinths, you know, that people have in Europe. It means something. People don't know what and what they're doing. But what we're doing in conscious awareness now is we're walking our own labyrinth. I'm walking the labyrinth of the oversoul. You know, people, we talk about in True Reality of Sexuality, that particular book, when people have sexual activity and know what they're doing, it's creative, they are creating archetypes between two bodies. So if you read True Reality of Sexuality, you will see that. And what you're doing now is you're taking it another level to people. In the music, you are creating archetypes with the bodies. And as people do that, they also, if you had a chance to talk with them, they would feel something different from these scenes as well. Because this is taking them to a new level of their own
And
artistic.
sometimes it's difficult to vocalize it because it works on level of the sixth chakra. So that's above words. So they're like, you know, they come to thank and they don't know what they're thanking for.
It's experiential. They're changing their cellular structure. They're changing the neural network up here. Things are changing. So there's so many people making so many changes in the world by doing this kind of work. It's not for you again to do what we're doing, but to take what we're giving you and incorporate it as you're doing it. Siena's doing it in her work. Everybody is doing it in their work. So it's very amazing. So we thank you both so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For
It was a
coming.
pleasure. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was. And
Stay tuned because we have something special.